blueprint laying on the table here tonight that was unable to circulate by way of the technical media that Sarah has control of. I don't know the exact proper verbiage for it, Sarah, but Ed's and I've looked it over and it looks very simple, straightforward. Is not sticking further out into the street than the current porch is. So, and did you get to print it off or to read it on the computer, Roger?
No, I just have the permit application is all I've got. Which is fine. We've got, where it says all these permits have to go through Tom. He's our building inspector, so we need I think a response from Tom, which is nay or yay, one or the other, I think would be helpful. We're not in a position to issue a building permit to do this. That's Tom's job.
Correct.
Yeah, and Phil did a very good job filling it out and explaining everything and mentioned the neighbor of Chuck Wall and the town of Pitkin and Sage Lane. So it's covered well there. And to cover the front porch to be replaced, same size and location. Would like to cover it with a roof and see the plans. And we've looked that all over. And then on page 2, exceptional circumstances, the answer there is no way to change the entry point of their structure. It was basically built right up to the street, or was the norm back then, which we know is zero setback on Main Street in business. And the second one, strict application, the causes of practical difficulties. And the answer there is due to weather conditions, it is necessary to protect the guests when entering and exiting the building due to harsh conditions. It also provides a covered area free from direct sunlight for the guests to enjoy. And then the third dot on it, that does not adversely affect neighborhood. The original hotel had an awning, and this addition of the covered porch would be similar to the look of the post office, which also encroaches on town property. And I know that there are several businesses there. The porches are actually in the 80-foot right of way of Main Street. So we're not losing any parking places or anything in front of the hotel that we currently would have. So I would entertain a motion to, however my board wants to send it to the trustees, make a motion, please.
I'd make a motion.
Effect.
Roger, go ahead.
I'll make a motion to that effect. We send it on them. And this is a, lot of old buildings, pictures and whatever show canvas awnings over the fronts of their buildings. Not so many of them have a permanent structure like this. So I think it should go probably a little further than us. Like I say, I'd like to have Tom's input. He's the one that's going to issue the permit, and I'd like to see the town, chime in on it as well.
So that motion, I didn't quite catch it all. Is that favorable to advancing it with our encouragement to the council?
Yes.
Thank you. Said Herman, I'll second that.
Sarah, do you have a valid motion?
Yeah.
Roger,
Yes.
hold on. I'm just gonna come up. It's okay. So Roger, your motion was just to send it to the trustees. Is that what you want your motion to say? Just to send the request on to the trustees?
Yes, with no objection from
with
the,
no objections. Okay.
with no objection.
Now, when I asked you if you were favorable to send it on to them to advance, you said yes, so.
Yes,
And Ed, you understood you seconded under those terms?
Correct.
All right, if there's no more discussion, all those in favor say yes? Yes?
Yes.
yes,
All right, 4 yeses, so I assume there's no nos because that's the extent of our attendance tonight. Moving on to the next topic. Follow up on our discussion and vote of the recommendations to the Board of Trustees conforming for the new town attorney that he agrees with the recommendation from Schumacher and O'Laughlin regarding House Bill 22-1362, the Energy Code adoption received July 12th of 23. And I don't know, Sarah, do you know if Mr. Bulge has sent that on to this new attorney yet or not, or what?
I don't have any information about that.
Well, I would certainly like to get the ball rolling with our new attorney. Looks like to me he's gonna have quite a schedule, just answering a lot of questions, not only for the trustees, but for the zoning board and the ordinances of 2022. Roger, do you have any leading on this?
I would like to know a little bit more about it as well. How it's going to impact the town. And new construction, of course, yeah.
Well, I think it's pertinent that we get a legal advice on this. And so is our proper deal to make a motion to the trustees to forward it to the attorney, Sarah?
Well, so you can't do that tonight because you don't have it notice that you're gonna be making a vote, but you did make a vote
Did that
last week.
Last
That's what I thought. So,
Right.
so it should be in the works, right?
I would ask, I mean, so I'm not sure, when you sent your report to the trustees, I thought you said you were waiting to hear from the attorney.
Yes,
So that's.
but as far as I know, I cannot contact the attorney.
No, the trustees would have to be asked. And so I was a little surprised that at the last trustee meeting, you didn't ask for permission to have him look into that. So maybe that would be the next step in your zoning report to actually make the request of the trustees.
Should
Oh.
it be in the report? Or should we just have a line on the agenda at the Board of Trustees? To send it to them?
I think either place would work because if you ask them a question within the report, they can answer the question. And that's happened pretty frequently. If any commission or board has a question, they can ask that in their report. I mean, even as the clerk, I do that in my clerk's report. I'll ask for clarification or questions and the board can respond to those questions.
Make sure I have my ducks lined up here. In the third Monday of February, under the reports, at the end of the meeting, this is when I need to bring it up to the trustees.
I would suggest doing that. I mean, if you have a question for the trustees, I would suggest putting it in your zoning report. That way they can see that. Because we always get them the reports before the meeting. And then when it comes to the reports at the end of the meeting,
Well, I can't get it in my hearing aids and I don't know why.
to remind, I'm gonna mute him, to remind the trustees that there was a
Well, either that or I
question.
don't get to listen to it.
I don't know
Well,
who I'm hearing.
I just muted him.
You couldn't hear it in the hearing.
Oh,
So, Sarah, so would it? You think it'd be better to do it in a report rather than sending the board a separate?
You can, either way, like if
Either
you
way.
wanted to send the board an email and say, can we forward, can this be forwarded on to the attorney so that he could spend some time looking at it and giving his opinion, then I don't see any problem with that either. Either way, I think would be fine.
So for for clarification on going to the town attorney, can the mayor could the mayor take that on himself and send it? Or does it have to go through the board,
I don't know. I mean, there have been times that the mayor
reaches out to the,
has reached out and asked me to have the attorney look into certain things. But I think probably since your motion said that you were gonna bring it before the board of trustees, that would probably be the cleanest thing to do. But that's just
okay,
based on what your folks said last month.
On my agenda for December 18th, I have Pianalto moved and Herman second, that we would send it to the trustees to be sent to the attorney.
Right.
Right.
So
so the step that was missed, is we just need to send it to the mayor and.
Right, well, yeah, the board just needed to be asked. Just,
well, I apologize. I didn't realize I was supposed to make that presentation during the reports. I did turn in a report from the zoning board, but I did not include it for them to send that to the mayor, attorney.
right, so, I would say just based on sunshine laws, I can't really send an email to the trustees and have an email meeting and say, hey, can you all weigh in on whether or not we can do this thing?
Okay,
Because that's a meeting that's not open to the public,
Sure,
even though
sure.
it's just one tiny question and I realize it's not a big deal. Still, it, for purposes of a group making a decision, that would need to be public. So since you asked for that to be presented to the trustees, it needs to be presented to all the trustees. And if they're gonna make a decision, it needs to be in an open meeting.
And because of that, that's why I'm leaning towards putting it on the agenda as an item and just.
Whatever you want to do. I mean, if you want to do that, then email Eddie and ask him
Okay,
if that can go on the agenda, because he has final say on the town agenda.
okay.
fantastic. Well, since it's an email, I'd like to dedicate Mr. Pianalto to send that email to Mayor Bolts, please, to get it on the agenda for the February trustee meeting.
The other board members so wish that I do that, I will.
Roger, do you have any problem with Pianalto doing that?
No, I think we're good. And I would like to, it sounds like a building code issue. I'd like to hear from our town building inspector. If he's gonna have to enforce more regulation, be nice to know what he feels about it.
Yeah, where I think we're at on it right now, Roger, is just trying to confirm the information we got back from the previous town attorney to make sure our new town attorney feels the same way with the energy code and what we need to do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't think we're actually looking at the energy code yet. We're just trying to see if we can actually go with the 2021 code prior to, I believe it's June 1st of 2026.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I kind of remember, this is the lesser of two evils, I guess.
Exactly.
All right, we've got that one covered now. As far as I'm concerned, any other comments on it? Let's move on down. Discuss and vote to send the Board of Trustees the building permit violations that are open beyond the 2-year time frame with no response for an update from the Owens. These are some more of this limbo stuff of the attorney's discretion as to how to interpret our 2022 codes. And I went back on our 2022 code for the notification, and then also in the 2012 codes, and they are almost identical to the letter. And nowhere does it state there's any penalty for them or anything like this. But it does say, continues to say that they need to give us an update and expected time of completion. It's pretty straightforward in my books. So I don't know why Ms. Owens is so upset. The letter that Sarah sent to her sure didn't have any naughty tone to it that I could find. Simple and straightforward, being how it's not been completed. And we went back and I pulled up or Sarah or Tom, somebody gave me the original applications for the permit. And it mentions everything from wiring to sheeting to the outside, a number of things that aren't completed. So I don't know how we make a move on this until we get the attorney to resolve our conflict. You have any input on this, Roger?
Well, it's not really a zoning board issue. It's the building department, and I'm not sure what the town board of trustees feels, about building permits. They don't expire, as far as I'm concerned. They require this 2-year or second year update. But I'm not sure exactly where we're going with this.
Well, to be specific,
If someone doesn't
Roger,
respond, I mean, 75% of our property owners are out of state. Summer home owners to start with. A lot of our construction is done over a period of many years. It's very difficult to get more, all the subcontractors to build a house together in 2 years to finish anything anyway. I don't know if this is a problem for Tom. He's the building inspector. Final inspections are important for insurance reasons and other things on a house if you're going to live in it. I could see Tom getting a little weary of waiting to do a final inspection for a long, long period of time. In which case, after a certain period of time, perhaps he needs to be reimbursed or, for an additional inspection or something. But I'm not real sure, exactly why there's a 2-year time frame on building something, and particularly in a building climate like we have right now. It's just very difficult in a seasonal building situation like what we have in Pitkin to get anything totally completed in 2 years anyway. And so I think you're going to find most of these, if they expire in 2 years, I'm not sure I'd buy a permit if it's going to expire.
I can agree with you, Roger. This is really not to the point of making any kind of a legal action against Ms. Owens. On section 17 in the 22 building codes, it says if a building project cannot be completed within 2 years, the property owner must provide written progress reports yearly or more often at the discretion of the Board of Zoning Adjustments. The Board of Zoning Adjustments with an estimated time to the completion of the construction. And that's all we ask her for. And if there was any legal action required, we are not capable of doing that. That has to go to the trustees. But we're just following the printed code and asking, and I know that she's had a number of challenges and circumstances beyond her control. So that basically was when we sent the letter. All I was expecting from her is that, well, we've got to this point and now the things are cleared up and there's a chance of going again, and maybe it'd be completed by the summer of 24 or 25 or whenever her crystal ball was saying. I don't know why we're making such a mountain out of it. But, Ed or Ed, do you have any comments?
I think it's unreasonable just to send a letter what the intent is and any difficulties that you might be having along the way as far as sourcing a contractor for materials. It's really not unreasonable.
So, Roger, when you're talking about the 2 years, I understand what you're saying. But when I look at this particular building permit, it starts in 2008. In 2008, it's taken down the back part of the house, sand and paint, put new tin roof on, put new footer with concrete. And then the building inspector at that time was James Sharpton, who added it's a remodel within existing space, work to bring existing building up to structural safe, habitable space. Remodel will not make building more non-conforming. And then 2009, a second building permit to rebuild on corrected foundation. In 2012 is to repair siding, windows, doors. I can't read the writing on next word. Interior walls, structure, roof beam, move windows in, add sheathing, and 5X to exterior walls. So we're talking about more than 2 years old. We're talking 12 years. And then to add to that, all three permits say that electrical permit and a septic permit, a well permit were needed. I did pull the state of Colorado permits. A final completion was accepted on a temporary construction meter back in 2010. 2011, it was applied for a electrical permit. Rough-in was accepted, but the permit has expired. So we still have an outstanding electrical permit that's expired. We're not talking 2 years. We simply asked for a letter on what's going to happen with it, and the property owner failed to give us a letter. So I think that's where we're at on it, is to send it to the Board of Trustees to see where they want to take it.
So the email that she did send in response to the letter, did you all have a chance to see that?
I have it right here. Yes. Has any other correspondence gone out to Sharon Owens? No, we got the email back from her.
If I'm not mistaken, we voted to send 3 registered with return receipts
To
after they did not respond to the first class mail.
No, so there was a first class mail, and then there was a return receipt requested or registered, and that one came back.
Right.
Not that because it was not picked up.
It was not picked
And it
up.
was between those two that she responded with that email.
Again, I'm not wanting to make a mountain out of a molehill at all. I would just like to see her be able to complete it and encourage her. Not hold her back.
Well, it's fully, possible that building will never be completed. A lot of reasons: financial, divorce, death in the family. It goes on and on. There's a lot of reasons why projects never, and a lot of them run out of money. And in the situation we got going now, very tentative time to try to get projects done, particularly these ones that have hang on forever. These buildings are very likely to be sold at some point, what happens then? Does the building permit go with that sale? Does anything go with the sale? Does the new owner have to start all over again? You know, a lot of questions about how this works. You know, we don't really have an official building department. We have one guy, a building inspector. And so a lot of these issues get very complicated. I'm not sure how to move forward with this one. And it's quite likely there's no plans to go forward with, is probably where it's at.
And I think there could be a lot of speculation on our part of what her plans are. And that's all we're asking in the letter is what are the plans? My belief is we send it to the Board of Trustees. We've done as far as what the zoning code says the zoning board should do. We've got a couple of outstanding permits. We send it to the Board of Trustees and let them decide what type of action they want to take. Maybe the Board of Trustees would like to send a letter to her asking her what her plan is. But we've done that. We've asked that. We did not get we got an email back saying that she doesn't understand why it's so old. After so many years, a letter has been sent regarding the permits, but apparently we haven't been looking at the permits in the past, so.
And I definitely believe if we could have an audience with her and walk right through this and everything, it'd be cleaned up in a heartbeat.
I do too. I think so.
But to answer your question, Roger, similar to the hotel, anything the new owners are wanting to do that, they are requesting their own permits. And I think this would apply to that property also if Joe Blow from Kokomo buys it and wants to restore or tear it down, start over, whatever he wants to do with his property, then he'll do the proper permitting, or she, at that point. With Sharon, it's pretty simple. I just would like to be able to communicate with her and you know, all she has to do is walk through us and tell us the things like you mentioned, Roger, that we're all quite aware of, the challenges that's met her on this project. And at this point, I can no longer go forward with spending any money on it or whatever her answer is. I don't want to put words in her mouth, but it would be a very simple resolution as far as I'm concerned if we could just communicate.
Yes, I would agree with you on that 100%. I'm afraid you're not getting answers because people are afraid that you're going to take action against her for whatever she says, or permits are going to fail, or any number of things. You know, government is not your best friend all the time when they start banging on your door, sending you registered letters and all this kind of stuff. So, yeah, I'm not sure exactly what the Board of Trustees will want to do to move forward with this. Not sure what the purpose of spending the money on this. If the lady doesn't have the money to finish the project, it's not going to get done, no matter what town does.
But just tell us that, or tell the trust. I very much like Pianalto mentioned earlier. I think we've probably spent enough time and exhausted our protocol towards trying to make this H of section 17 fulfilled by the responsibilities of the zoning board of adjustments. So I would like to send, we just have two, don't we, that on our spreadsheet that's lacking like this?
Yes.
So I'm in favor of sending them both to the trustees and see what they want to do. And this new attorney, that's another thing that they can discuss. And I would hope that Sharon could just say, you know, I'm at a point of no return here and I can't do a thing right now.
So let me throw this out there to the board. I reread Sharon's email that she sent to us back in November several times. We're sitting here discussing it. After reading it again, I'd be open to drafting an email or a letter to her, giving her information of what we're looking for. If the board, the zoning board would like for me to do that, or if the zoning board would decide you want to send it off to the board of trustees, I'll go either way, but I don't want to take it upon myself. Even when I got this email, when Sarah sent it out to us, I didn't want to take it upon myself, to just send a response to her on behalf of the board. I think it needs the board's approval of the letter that we would send. If you'd like for me to do that, I will. Would rather send it to the board of trustees. Okay with that too?
Oh, Mr. Pinola, you've opened up a can of worms here. I don't know back when, I have a copy of an email that Gayla sent to Miss Owens. And I was not aware of us. Oh, it's at least November meeting, somewhere way back here. And my understanding that Gayla did send her a letter, somewhat of apology even. Okay, here it is. Tuesday, November 21st, 23, 7:58 a.m. Gayla Gibb. And it's to Sharon Owen. The letter sent to you was done erroneously. On behalf of the zoning board, I would like to sincerely apologize for any guest on your part. The decision to send you a letter was made when I was personally not at the meeting. In my opinion, your permit is moot, as the 2022 code says all permits issued prior to this code may continue to completion. Pitkin hopes to see you again someday. Sincerely, Gayla Gibb. And it stirs a pot that I don't like to get in. I don't know why Gayla sent her this email. She has a carbon copy to Jess. If she were here, I'd ask her. But apparently, if she's getting anything from the Zoning Board of Adjustments in Pitkin, Colorado, she's not going to open it or receive it. So I'm in favor of sending it to the trustees.
Given the letter that you just read, Jesse, I'm in full 100%. It goes to the board of trustees at this point. This board acts as a board. It does not act independently. So therefore, I believe this needs to go to the board of trustees.
Yeah, I didn't want to bring this up, but it came to light. All right. Do you need a motion to that effect, Sarah, to send, or just make it in our report again as previous?
You have it noticed as discuss and vote.
Yes. I'm trying to put together a motion here. Roger or Ed, do you have a motion in mind to go to the trustees?
I would move that we send to the board of trustees the building permit for Sharon Owens that has been open for years, given the light of a single board member responding. Board of trustees needs to act on this matter.
Do you want to put that other real old permit on this same motion to the trustees? The one on Main Street?
I will do it separate.
I'll speak to this just real quick. I'm not real sure why this is in zoning. This is a building department issue. They issue permits and they go forward. They do the final permitting. They do all of that stuff. Zoning board, really, this is not exactly what, yeah, we're getting paid for. I don't think board of trustees is much different position than we are. If there's been a violation, or something that we should be contacting this lady about, then yes. But we need to, you know, not sending in a report on where your project is, I don't think is a great violation that's going to require what you guys are going forward with. That's just my thought.
Yes, I don't think there's a violation except the lack of following through with our ordinances on thing. I don't see any ugly. It just needs to be cleared up and going forward. So,
Well, you got to present that to her so that she feels like she's not being walked all over. My attorney talks to your attorney, sort of a thing going on, and that's probably where it's at right now.
well, having not heard a second on Mr. Pianolto's motion, Jess will second it. And,
I'll second that.
okay, you want on there, Ed? All right. All right, all those in favor of sending Miss Owens' building permit situation to the trustees and the town attorney, say yes?
Yes.
Yes? Roger, did you say yes, or do you want to go with no?
I'm gonna go with no for right at the moment.
Thank you. 3 yeses and 1 no. So we'll send it on. And Roger, I'll make a note that you're the one that said no, please.
Okay,
Thank you, sir. All right, moving on down.
So before we move on to that, how do we want to send that to the Board of Trustees?
I would like to visit with our mayor and ask how he wants to receive it.
I'm fine with that. I suggest it be a line item that we present it to them.
I believe line items are good. Yes, that way you stay on topic.
Yes, I have a question.
Go ahead, Herman.
Has there been any actual inspections with these last, was it 3 or 4 permits over this? What period of time are we speaking of?
There's been at least 2 different building inspectors and none of them were our current inspector.
So nobody signed anything off?
Nope, not that I'm aware of.
See, that's where I have a problem with this. Gonna go through the trouble to pull a permit. And then lollygag around for 10, 12 years. Nothing's inspected. Now we're expected just to, drop the permit. Next owner comes in. We're gonna pick up and have another permit that's nothing's gonna be inspected. Something needs to be done or addressed as to what you plan on doing on the property. Otherwise, we don't have a need for a permit.
There was at least one inspection done by James Sharpton on Sharon Owens property.
Okay,
But that was years ago.
Right, but Jesse said none. And
well, I wasn't aware of anybody doing any inspections, right? Awesome.
And just to add to Ed's comment, I think that was one of the things that I saw an issue in the building permits in not following up in old ones. And that was the reason I suggested back in June that we start tracking the building permits a little bit closer. So we try to stay on top of them because I to some extent, I understand what's happened. We have a new building inspector come in. There's some open permits that he wasn't totally aware of. And they slipped through the cracks, and that's kind of what we're trying to prevent.
Yes,
And as far as is it the zoning board's responsibility when building permits are part of the zoning code? It's my belief that it is part of our responsibility. Building inspections and permits are part of the building inspector's job, but it's also up to us to try to stay on top of it.
And this spreadsheet should be giving us a lot of light on that. And I think Tom, I know initially anyway, he was in favor of these and I think whoever the next building inspector is down the road 10 years from now or whenever, it's just kind of a tracking device and so the spreadsheet, should eliminate this kind of a problem. It'd be dealt with immediately.
I mean, I'm very happy, you know, after we've been looking at the older permits, that we only have 2 that are outstanding. So I think that says a lot.
All right, moving on down to the next bullet.
Need to do,
What?
we need to do this,
Oh, yeah, we were gonna separate those.
separate Sharon Owens.
And Michael Ebert.
Well, I guess I'll start off. Is Michael Ebert's building permit is from 2015. He wrote in the construction consists of jacking of the house to new support. Van Mikowski, the building inspector at the time, added a remodel. Supposed to have an electrical permit hold on it as well. Again, searching the state of Colorado website, electrical and plumbing permits. There has never been a hold according to the state of Colorado for this property. Again, I think the letter, the same similar letter was sent to Mr. Ebert back in August 19th of just the regular email or regular mail. And then Sarah, you did send a certified letter to.
I believe so. I'd have to check, my records.
And we've received no response from him whatsoever.
The town hasn't.
Okay.
What year was the permit with the interior remodel? Because the only one that I had a record of in the town's records was the jacking the house and putting foundation.
That's 2015. That's the one you sent to us.
Right.
Is jacking the house, and then at the bottom of it, Rand Mikowski had put remodel with an electrical permit required.
On the permit that I sent you?
7/13/15, right?
7. Oh, where it was granted?
Yes,
Yeah, permit number 17-2015.
yes. Yeah, that's a copy I have. It's terribly hard to read.
Oh, the copy.
Yes.
Oh, one I've got.
Mine just is terribly hard to read. So I'm in favor of handling it very much like Ms. Owens' permit. I don't see why there'd be any malice or anything on Mr. Ebert's part.
You know what? I'm looking at this. And it doesn't say there was an interior remodel.
No, it just says down under.
Grant,
No, I see
Building?
that. It's the type of permit that he classified it as a remodel.
Yes.
Yeah. But I think that to finish the supports and jacking the house.
If we had something back from Mr. Ebert saying that, I'd be
be simple. See, that's what I'm saying. This communication,
right.
why people
Right.
get notices and then just file 13. It makes you almost think evil. And the fact that the electrical was marked on the permit, if it burns down, do we have a problem with the city of being negligent?
No, that does not, that kind of stuff never falls on the city. That kind of question has come up time and time again. If
Okay.
somebody on their personal property just chooses not to follow the rules, that is not the city's fault. Never is.
So why do we even put electrical on our permits? Yeah, I'm just being obnoxious. I just, why it's marked, I don't know then. But
I don't know.
anyway, I would like for the trustees to resolve this and get it off the record. So get our spreadsheet completed. I don't know that we actually have a discuss and vote on the Ebert.
I don't think,
Uh,
we didn't,
Nope.
it's not a separate, we didn't separate Ebert, no one's on there. We just said discuss and vote
Yeah.
to send the board of trustees building permit violations that are open beyond the 2-year time frame with no response from an update from you.
And so I'll follow up with our mayor about getting these on the agenda, and our attorney brought in to focus on it.
Do we want to vote on that one separately though? We voted on Sharon Owens separately. I would say we.
We mentioned in my bullet here of Owens, but we did not mention Ebert.
On the motion and what we voted on.
In my bullet, it says discuss and vote to send to the Board of Trustees building permit violations that are open beyond the 2-year time frame with no response for an update from the Owens.
Owners.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Praise God. Oh, my lands, I got Owens on the mind. Oh, hallelujah. I would entertain a motion to send Mr. Ebert's permit to the trustees, please.
This is Ed Yunalto. I would move that we send the Michael Ebert permit from 2017 to the Board of Trustees for review, determination on next move.
Do I hear a second? Herman seconds.
My question real quick before I answer. What is the Board of Trustees supposed to do with this information? I mean, there's no violation. They're not gonna tell the attorney to, start a lawsuit or something, or fine anyone for anything. I'm just
Roger.
curious why we're voting to do this.
So Roger, in the zoning code of 2022,
Yes,
it's up in the air because we're waiting for a determination from the town attorney if the permits actually expire at 2 years. Or if you require, well, we're waiting for the legal interpretation of it.
well,
And
if your building permit
we've been
does not
waiting for
say
that for 2
when it
months.
expires, it does not expire. I mean, you're just making this stuff up.
But we have building permits that say that the building permit does expire after 2 years. It actually says that on the
No,
form.
it's not on your permit. I mean, how are these people supposed to know?
I can read the permit says here, this permit becomes invalid after 2 years' work is not completed. This permit may be suspended or revoked if issued in error or based upon incorrect information. I guess we need interpretation as to what is required of the zoning board, but I'd like to get both of these off of our agenda. We've kicked them around for 3 months now and got nowhere. And the conflict of the definitions in our zoning code, evidently, an attorney did not dry up the codes. So I'd like the trustees, we have no right to, as far as I can find, we don't have any jurisdiction to take it any further than we've taken it. So I want the trustees to clear it up and get it taken care of.
They'll thank you for it, I'm sure. Pat's kicking on down the road.
Well, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry, but we can't go any further in my books. So all those in favor of sending Mr. Ebert's expired building permit on to the trustees, say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Roger, you want to weigh in on a no?
I'm gonna weigh in on no. I don't see any purpose for it.
Okay, thank you. Now, moving on down to the last item here on the new business, discuss and vote on zoning code proposal revisions for the recommendation to the Board of Trustees. And I had no idea it'd take an hour to get to this point, but I put on the agenda here that we would not spend more than an hour on this last bullet point. And I listed the sections that we want to work on that we did not complete in the December meeting. Starting with section 21, amendments to zoning code requests. Just to swap 7 and 8.
Are you talking under B zoning change request amendments?
Yes, section 21. I I felt like 7 and 8 should have been in a different sequence. 8 should have been put in there before 7. So all it does is just move 8 up in front of 7 and change the numbers 7 and 8 is my suggestion.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with that.
Would you like to put that in a motion, Roger?
Motion for each of these. I think a consensus is probably good for each of these.
So we don't need to have a motion on each one of these items? Okay.
No, because you're not making a decision. You're just coming to a
There-
consensus.
Well, I just want to make sure the board has a consensus. I don't want to be a one-man board.
So the vote will actually be when we have the entire zoning code changed the way we want it, then we'll vote.
I don't think you actually ever have to take a vote because all you would be doing is just presenting your changes that you have made with consensus of the board to the trustee. And then the actual adoption and things like that will take place.
So
And
I want to make sure my board is in favor, not just following Jess's one-man board leadership. So,
so I don't think we have to have a formal motion in second, but I think we can still do a hand vote on it. That's a consensus on each line item.
my understanding as chair is that we're all in favor of swapping 7, 8 in section 21.
I'm good with that.
Okay, moving on down to section 5. Zoning map. It needs to read that the zoning map will be in appendix B.
So just at the end of section 5 of zoning map. That is appendix B for current zoning map, what you say?
Yes, and we have, testing. We have appendix B in the back of our zoning code that's empty.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Tell them where to go look for it.
It's a,
Placeholder for it.
right. It's saying
Yeah.
that, right, it's just a placeholder and then the map comes out.
So. And my code doesn't have a map. Now, I have received several maps on my own that I went to the GSI, Michael or something like that in Gunnison. And got, but I just like for all of you to have this map.
Terry, is it? I don't think I can get on the internet. It's the map,
Will you speak into the mic, please? Thank you.
is the map attached within the zoning code on the website?
Yes.
Okay.
I can't go to look at it.
Well, I received it and to the best of my knowledge, it is totally up to date. With the changes we've made in the last couple of years. So the copy I got, 6/21 of 23. GSI has it as current as I am aware of. Are you also agree, Sarah, that which includes, the Nassau property on 9th Street and State
That's correct.
and all these triangles?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you like, I can get 4 copies from GSI and give them to each one of you. Like that. Is that all right with you, Roger?
Yes, and I would like to have one.
I think for our discussion though, here, the only thing we want to add in section 5 zoning map on page 7 is the appendix C, appendix B for current zoning map.
Correct. I want that added to section 5. Now, am I, all right to assume that we're all in favor of adding that appendix B to section 5?
I'm good.
Roger,
Yes,
thank you. Moving on down, section 12, C and D. As of the 911 addresses and all, and back before I was having much to do with Pitkin, we had streets and alleys. Today with 911 addresses, we have no alleys, they're all lanes. And so in C1, the last word says alley. C2, last word says alley. In D1, the last word says alley. And in 2, it says alley. I'd like all 4 of those alleys to be lanes.
So do we have any alleys in town?
According to all of the signage that I've inherited and the maps I've had, even Aspen is lane, Alpine's a lane, Quartz is a lane, and Sage is a lane. Those are the only 4 I'm aware of, and they're all lanes.
You want to write it as alleys / lanes, or just take out alleys and put lanes?
As far as I know, we have 0 signage that says alley. Roger, what's your take on it?
well, I'm still gonna call them alleys, but so I probably would go along with the notion of putting / lanes. But cause there's alleys that are not built. And I'm not sure they're given you know, since they're not built, I'm not sure they're given any designation as a lane. What, you know.
Well, I don't, do you know,
So I don't know,
Roger,
it's a little
when or how
complicated.
or the Susie Messer gives our addresses and stuff for 911 addresses? Was that in an ordinance or did she just pick it up and volunteer to help the town out doing it or what? But supposedly back sometime in that 911 addresses, EMTs, fire could not answer to a address on an alley. And Quartz Lane probably is the most times used as an address. And I'll use Susie's home again as a River Street is not open in front of her house. And so Quartz Lane is her address on the old house. I guess it wouldn't hurt to have a slash in there. Alleys slash lanes. I know behind Roger's house, he probably figures that's an alley and it has been for decades. But I'm pretty sure the sign on Sixth Street says lane. But anyways, I just want some clarification, because how we have this opened up to try to make things more black and white so that we don't have misunderstandings.
We need to go through this whole document where it references alleys, setbacks, and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, change it to lanes. You probably already got that figured in here somewhere, but if we're gonna go with that,
You're gonna go with lanes slash alleys or alleys
yeah,
slash
I
lanes?
would do that. You know, I think most of the old time town maps are gonna refer to, you know, original plats and everything still apply to town of Pitkin. And so there's streets and alleys on them. We haven't redrawn the entire map of the whole town and it's never been adopted. So, yeah, this is a tricky one. You know, yeah.
Well,
Yes,
I'd hate to-
off of an alley, you know, yeah.
I'd hate to take out the word alley, if we actually have an alley in town. So adding just the alley slash lanes, I think would cover it.
Well, what we're talking about is setbacks.
Right.
And it's the same whether it's a lane or an alley.
Right.
So alleys slash lanes is fantastic as far as I'm concerned.
Big impact. Verified.
All
Let's
right,
go
I'll
with
put my
that.
note that- Yes, thank you.
Okay,
Moving on down. Zoning code complaint form to remove anonymous complaints from the form. And I can argue both sides of the fence here, but have a tendency just to, when an anonymous complaint comes in, wondering just how valid it is.
well, I'll speak to this. If the zoning board had an enforcement officer, which it doesn't, that person could take the complaints and respond to them. And you wouldn't need an anonymous response because that person would keep it anonymous and, you know, treat this like it was a professional complaint, check it out and whatever. But whoever does the investigation work is gonna have to know who to talk to, who made the complaint, what the specifics of it is all about. Uh, and, put it together. I mean, if it's ever gonna be a legitimate complaint, as far as I'm concerned.
All right, and as I've said in the past, if a complaint form is totally properly filled out, it's going to address what statute is in violation and get you started on it. But trying to adhere to the zoning codes of 22, there's some conflict again. Here's this darn attorney thing again. Are every one of our ordinances and every section complementary to each other? I don't believe so. And this is why I've got this on the agenda tonight. Any of you guys have anything to say about it?
I agree with Roger, though, when a complaint comes in. And again, this is only on the zoning complaint. We don't have jurisdiction over the ordinance, regular complaints. It's only on the zoning complaint form. When a complaint comes in, if you don't know who to talk to about the complaint and specifics, they don't fill it all out completely, then it's pretty hard to investigate it to see what's going on. So I feel like you gotta have the complainant name and who's making the complaint, so you can see what they're talking about.
Well, the $64 question is Joe Blow from Kokomo comes in on 4th of July and issues a complaint anonymously about somebody's dog running around.
That's not.
Where do we go with it?
That's not done.
That's not zoning. That'd be an ordinance.
Okay. Give me another hypothetical case that might be similar that would be zoning.
You could use an actual zoning complaint like a sign. It is, yeah,
Yeah, like a sign, that'd be, yes.
yeah.
Does that visitor just come in town to stir the pot and cause stress amongst the residents?
Well, I think the question was, how could you possibly investigate a sign without talking to the complainant?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's hard to talk to an anonymous,
Right.
those are toughies. And that's why I say, get back to that attorney deal.
Well, go another route on it. Let's look at a setback on a piece of property. Someone throws up a building or a shed, and maybe they get a permit, maybe they don't, but it's got a setback issue. I would think the complainant would want to have their name on it, so whoever's going to investigate it could see exactly what they're talking about.
Being the devil's advocate on that, Ed Piano, though, is, like I said earlier, if the complaint form was totally filled out precisely as to what section violation, like your setback, for example, and address of such and such a place, I believe an enforcement officer could follow up on it. But I also don't like the idea of just stirring the pot. It's at the discretion of the enforcement officer then. And we don't have one.
Right now, it's at the discretion of the zoning.
Yes.
We're the ones that are gonna have to look at it.
That's above my pay grade.
Yeah, I hear you, Roger.
And so I think it's just about every other volunteer here wants to hear is zoning complaints. As far as setbacks, if we don't have pins to go off of, we don't know. There's nothing we can do about it. And a lot of these other complaints, most of the building issues are building department issues. The zoning board and the building department are very tightly twined when it comes to permitting things to be done in the town. And yeah, we got a one-man building department and yeah, no enforcement officer on the zoning board, except for Jesse can go talk to them, which I think is a good thing. Probably resolve most of the issues, but yeah, I think we can give advice. If there's a problem, we can say, get a surveyor out here, figure it out between you and your neighbor. Various things like this. But the town doesn't know where your properties are. We can't go in there and say, oh yeah, definitively, we got a problem here.
But
And
to resolve an issue like that, wouldn't you need the complainant?
not with the
Okay.
town. Most of that is gonna have to be resolved between neighbors and their surveyors and various other people. The town has never officially set a survey pin within the town, as far as I know, except for the four corners.
Not discussing survey issues. We're discussing whether or not we're gonna remove anonymous off the form. Later on, after the complaint has been filed, then we can delve into whether or not a property line issue is at the point here. I don't see any problem with having your name. If you want to call something out on something, you should own it. And if it's truly a violation, it should be looked into. But I don't think anybody's going to come back and seek revenge on you.
I know
Yeah.
Gayla has said that she felt like that she has gotten revenge complaints. So I know she definitely is for the anonymous complaints. But one of my issues is one of these anonymous complaints that came to my attention. The person knew exactly who made it out and how am I going to get even? And when that person's telling me about it, I said, I believe you're totally wrong as to who you're blaming. I think I have some information, knowledge that you're pointing the finger at the wrong person. And I left it at that, but to me, vendettas are terrible. And retaliation is probably worse. And we all, like I've said many times, have skeletons in the closet.
Ready to make a motion.
Okay, speak to us.
I move that we change the zoning complaint form so it reads at the bottom of the form. This form must be completed in its entirety and then submitted to the town of Pitkin at gmail.com or P.O. Box 9, Pitkin, CO 8141. That in effect removes off the current form, the way I stated it. If you wish to file an anonymous complaint, you may do so by submitting the above information. Then also striking this section that's, or the line that says, please be aware that due to the nature of anonymous complaints, it may be difficult for the zoning board to respond in a meaningful and effective way. The zoning board may choose not to respond to anonymous.
It's not only the issue that we may choose not to, there may be absolutely nothing we can do about it. I mean, what's the purpose of investigating a complaint when it requires survey work, it requires attorneys getting involved and trying to resolve lot line disputes? It goes on and on and on, and town isn't going to do that. Way above my pay grade.
Well, this is your proposal just to
That's
strike all that bottom. part?
Correct.
Herman, did you get what Pianold was saying? Roger, did you catch what Ed Pianold was saying?
I caught most of it. And I think that's pretty good. As long as we got a way out, so we don't have to take every complaint all that serious unless we got enough information to give advice or point them in the right direction or get the town board of trustees involved or whatever has to happen.
So there is a complaint procedure that's out on the town website that specifies when someone fills out either this form or the other form of the information that they should provide. I think that helps clarify.
They need to, yeah. If it's on a specific piece of property, it needs to say what lot, block, everything else, where the violation is, not just up the street from me, you know, that kind of thing. It's got to be pretty professionally done.
So I made the motion.
Yeah, someone else said that.
Okay, Pianold moved that we strike everything on the zoning complaint form for the town of Pitkin at the bottom, leaving this form must be completed in its entirety and then submitted where? Oh, to that, yes, I see it now in the blue. Yes. And striking, if you wish to file an anonymous complaint, you may be by submitting to the above information.
Might work.
Well, this is one that I definitely would like to have a vote on because of its challenging circumstances.
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead, Herman.
So if somebody, if we go forward with, keeping this anonymous or, we have to divulge who it is, we don't have to tell the person that the complaint is against who filed it. I mean, that can be kept confidential.
Sarah, Kenneth?
I don't think that's a question for me.
Okay, my question then, with Herman, if a complaint is turned in and signed, let's say Herman has a complaint on my setback at my place, and do I have the right to know that he signed the complaint form?
Yes.
Okay, without doing a request, whatever you call
No,
that.
but you could do a core request.
Core, that's what I was,
It-
yes.
It is a document and it would be released with your name on it, correct?
Well, before we vote on this, I have one last thing. I read too much. On section 19. A. Complaints may be submitted by any resident or property owner of the town of Pitkin, period. And I don't find in our codes where we can have a anonymous complaint.
There's nothing in the current zoning code of 2022 that talks about anonymous complaint. Only the form says it can be.
Yes, just in the complaint form, zoning complaint form is the only place I see anonymous. So this is why my concern about attorneys not drawing up our ordinances of the town of Pitkin. We have problems. When anonymous shows up, is he a property owner or a owner?
Well, you gotta have the complaint name on the form.
To me, it's putting a way too much pressure on the clerk to. I don't think it's right to do.
I think you got a motion and a second. Let's proceed with the vote on.
Okay, Pinhold has called the question. Those in favor of removing anonymous from the complaint form, say yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Roger, you gonna weigh in?
yes.
Okay,
And
four
my
to
answer,
zero. Moving on down.
So do you want to forego?
Well, I said we would had an hour on it.
I know, but we didn't start till 8 o'clock. It'll be till 9:30.
Do you want to get on down to the old business?
The next four are gonna take some time.
Well, the next bullet point is just a fee, an update fee, yes or no.
Okay. If you want go on.
I'd like to complete it. Our next bullet point, Roger, is renewal of building permits beyond 2-year completion and update fee. Today, we don't have a fee, but the reason we need to entertain a possibility of a fee is a call by the building inspector, go on site and make sure that the setbacks and stuff are in place. Maybe we should, because I also on this one, I have concern about the 2-year length of a building permit. So maybe Roger and the two Eds, is this where we want to discuss that? If it is, then we need to go to old business.
I think there's been some concern raised. I know Roger's raised some concern about the 2-year completion date. I believe Gala has raised some concern about it. Quite honestly, I'd like to have Gala's input on it when we discuss it, well as everybody else's at the same time. So I'd be in favor of tabling the remainder of the items to the next meeting.
Before we go on from this point, I am going to read a letter because Gala did send me a response to this bullet point. And this is Gala on Friday, the 12th of January. Please remember that in the existing zoning code, there is no potentiality for not giving updates on a building permit that has gone over 2 years. So we cannot currently insist on one. We can ask the Board of Trustees to decide what, if anything, can or should be done. But we cannot ask to penalize in any way when those penalties are not in our code. Also, please remember that my input for building permits to be for 5 years in the code revisions request to the Board of Trustees. And then she's going to be on an airplane. And so the only thing that I shared with her is we're not finding anybody at this point. So we're within our code. We're not doing anything that's not in the code. But she definitely is leaning towards 5 years. And Roger, are you looking at 3 or 5?
You know, I think Haley's got a good point, 5 years. It
Okay,
sounds
well,
reasonable.
I want us to kick this around between now and our next meeting when we start here, but I'm gonna mark the agenda that we stopped after the zoning complaint form to remove anonymous.
Okay,
The other thing I'd like to throw out there just to be thinking about. We haven't put it on one of the bullet items, but be thinking about it. I think we need to add it as one of the bullet items in the current zoning code. Trying to get to it, I didn't have my page mark. In the current zoning code, we state that here it is. It's in Appendix A for foundations that we use the International Residential Code. Framing, we use International Residential Code. Of course, electrical and plumbing is up to the state. But what we don't say on either one of those codes is to what version we're actually using, what year we're using. And that can make a difference. I think we need to determine which year we expect people to hold to on those codes. So be thinking, I'd say be thinking about that.
Well, I think this goes along with what Tom shared with our trustees a couple of meetings ago about the adopting the 2021 building codes before the 26s are forced upon us.
That's actually 2021 energy code.
Yeah, oh, that's just energy
It's in
code.
addition
Okay.
to what we have.
And something on this appendix A, I want us to know how far we need to go in addressing. For example, we're mentioning foundation, framing, electrical, and plumbing. Now, is a building complete with just a sub siding? Do we need to even put sheetrock or anything on the inside of studs? Do we want to mention insulation? There are so many things here that you assume a complete building will have floor covering. Or is a subfloor enough? And these are things, Roger, we used to deal with years ago on fisherman shacks. You know, the little 4 walls with studs and sheeting and some kind of exterior siding and studs and no insulation, and a rough floor results there. So be thinking about what all we're going to put into this appendix A, or just leave it as is and just address it as to such and such a building code for the IRC or ICC.
The other thing to consider is Tom brought up to me about a month ago. And I think he's got a really valid point with the new energy codes that are coming out on building new buildings or even major remodels. They become cost prohibitive for some people. So we might start seeing more interior remodels going forward. And we need to consider what codes or what do we want to include there. You know, I know in the past for a final inspection, which we don't technically have a final inspection today, maybe we need to consider putting it back into the code for final inspection. That there used to be a checklist of what should be completed before a final inspection was granted. So there's some additional things we're thinking about.
Yeah, you're speaking of certificate of occupancy. Yes. And I believe if we get adopting these codes as stated here, potentially, then we are obligated to do an occupancy. Today, if your loan company wants a certificate of occupancy, is about the only grounds that we really have to stage a final inspection.
And that will be an additional question when we send it to the town attorney, reviewing the energy code and where we need to go with that. That may dictate in the 2021 energy code and what we have. I don't know. tell us that.
Very well. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item 4, old business. Discuss 8 updates to building permit spreadsheet and updates on OWTS and review any new permits or closed permits.
Okay, so I did update with the latest information that I had as of last was 20. I guess it's 12, it's January. That time I know, just starting with 2024 building permits, Tom had in his report to the Board of Trustees as building inspector, the permit that I got for the accessory building addition that I'm doing. Sarah, are you aware, has there been any other payments made on
Yeah, I think there was a payment, but I don't recall what it was for.
the back deck of the hotel?
I don't recall. I'd have to check into it.
Okay.
Well, Tom and I visited just a couple days ago, on River Street above, Jess and Patty McCullough. There's some kind of foundation work or something going on, and maybe I need to talk to Levi or two. I don't know if Tom got to Levi, I think, was doing the work. So I don't know. I believe that's the only one that Tom and I have visited about. And then now this potential awning thing, but that's none of our information today.
That wouldn't be a permit, yeah. All right. So maybe I can send an email to Tom asking if there was one for the hotel. Been talking to Phil about the roof. He thought he had told me there was new permit for the deck on the back of the. That may have just come in recently, I'm not sure. Other than that, 2023 permits, I think are still really only need to worry about the ones in yellow, and I'm not sure there's anything we need to worry about on any of those at this point. Very logical there, so they're not gonna do anything on it now. I'm not sure if the roof and the deck repair and rebuild on Armstrong's is done yet or not. I think Tom was gonna check on that. Talk with him on that one. Of course, the hotel's continually going. I think Jake's still working on his covered patios. Susie's garage is ongoing. And I think the Wicks have started on an OWTS review. Where that's at. I don't think there's anything completed anything else in that. And 2022's essentially the same as it was last month, I believe. The only one I have a question for would be Figueretto's. I don't know if it's completed or not.
Now, who are you saying, Ed?
Figueretto's, Fig, that how you say it? 507 River Street. But Figueredo. I don't know if they're, I know they're there this week. I don't know if they're working on it or if it's complete.
Well, so I don't get the cart in front of the horse. Gayla gave me some updates on OWTS as it see if I'm, these that you need. Elevate LLC Tiny Homes at 202 Armstrong and 124 State Street, new 1,000-gallon system for Metzler.
Got it.
1115 State Street, new system for new build. May or not have begun, which is WIC. You did read that, I remember.
Got that one.
River Street, 2 RVs have small system and one larger system going in. And the small one on the RV is 1,000, and the home is to be 1,500 gallon with Beery.
That's on Beery's, yes.
Yeah, Ethan Beery.
Right.
In 2024 plans and permits for OWTSs is 3 River Street will be completed in the spring of 24. That's Molly.
So what I did on that one, on the spreadsheet anyway, I know it's a 2024 OWTS permit. I added it on the, gotta find it. It's actually a 2022 building permit. And I think that the reason for wanting to know if there's no WTS permit is if it's a major remodel or a new addition or something like that, that it should have an OWTS. So I added it on that line
On the 22.
on the 2022.
Okay, and I know that Tom ran into groundwater problems with his septic tank for Molly and stuff, so there's been some slowdown there. And Main Street is Thomas Kelly, and it's to be completed in 2024. And the hotel at Main is still not finalized out yet.
Okay.
Those are the reports that Gayla gave me.
Okay, I need to get some information on Thomas Kelly because I don't think I have that in.
We had to do a variance to the leach field went into 8th Street. I don't remember what all out. I don't remember size or anything. I think it's 1,000 gallons, but I don't want to quote that.
Thomas Kelly on. I'll get some more information for you. Just added it in. Right.
Well, you have the Kelly for the home replaced,
Is it
but
on there?
the home, but not an OWTS. On the second page, it's the third line.
Okay. I can't read it. Second page.
Third line.
Oh.
719
Oh,
Main,
okay. 'Cause
home relocated,
I'm sorry. I'm looking for the,
but I don't see an OWTS on it.
okay. I don't have it on there. You're right. But you're, from Gala's information, they have got the OWTS.
Yeah, let me get back here.
I know
She shows it to be completed in 24. I know the tank is in and the leach field has been placed. I don't know if it ties together or anything yet at that point. And I'm pretty sure the Porch Creek Construction, Phil and Todd are doing it.
I'm just gonna put on the spreadsheet then that yes, they've got the OWTS permit. I'm gonna mark it as yellow on just the OWTS. one.
Okay,
Under the same line.
yeah, all right, and proposed completion in 24.
And
Have you passed up Varnell yet on the porch and garage?
yeah, when I last talked to Chad, the garage is finished, but the porch is not.
Yes, and he told me it won't be complete till spring.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay, so then the only other two was the Benbow and the Tennail. Sarah, were you able to find anything on Benbow?
Yeah.
No. The only thing I had was back from 2018, so it would have been something different.
Okay, and so I think the only reason that they really got on this list was you had receipt from QuickBooks or something of money from them for a building permit?
yes.
Okay,
And Tom and I, last meeting, I don't know if it was in the meeting or after the meeting, we visited about Bimbo. And he and I stomped in there in the snow, oh my, at least 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. And to date, they were gonna convert at that time, they were gonna convert a small cabin to a garage. And never did anything, to my knowledge. And Tom kind of looked through the snow maybe a week ago, and he sees no sign of, no evidence of any action ever being taken.
Okay, so you tell me what you want me to do with it as far as the board. Do we want to take it completely off the list? Since we don't have a permit. They paid something, it doesn't look like they've done anything else, so.
Sarah, can you find the amount that was paid on that?
Yeah, if you give me a second, I can.
That would give us maybe a clue, please. I don't know the bimbos, do I?
I don't know I don't know where it's at.
But it's behind Sarah on the other side of the creek and downstream a ways. It's upstream of Stewart. But their entrance is on the alley, you might say, on the mountainside of the creek, which might be an extension of River Street, but it's just a trail. There's two homes back there. Melissa Howard, does that ring a bell?
That rings a
Do you
bell.
ring a bell with Melissa?
Yeah, it's Melissa Howard and she's down farther. She's that green.
She's the second house, isn't she?
Round house.
Now, who's the first one?
That's Benbow.
Oh, the first one is Bimbo right off of Fifth Street?
Uh-huh.
And then Howard?
Yep.
Okay, then Tom and I are messed up because the small cabin we looked at was either the second or third house from Fifth Street downstream.
So I'm trying to think if I'm missing a house, because I know Mahalovic is there, but he's up. And if you just take that little trail, which is
Right beside the creek.
the one that is just kind of to your left, and it's kind of plain looking and it's brown and I'm pretty sure that's Benbow.
All right. So the Howard then is right next to Fifth Street.
No, Howard's is farther.
Oh, further down.
Yeah,
Okay, then where Tom and I were had to been the third. Is there three homes right in there real tight together?
I know there's a house and a shed. I don't remember.
I don't either. I think we're gonna have to table it until we can get in there and look. Tom and I know went in on, and we thought it was Bimbo. To convert a small cabin, fisher shack or something to a garage.
All right, yeah, this is Benbow right here.
You just pulled it.
Do they have this one? They have this one, which is that first brown one, and then they have this one. Oh,
Okay.
I thought that one was Melissa Howard.
Oh,
So
well,
these are both Benbow.
this is the one we expected in that little old
Yeah,
fisherman shack. That's
Yeah.
one that Tom and I walked in.
I don't know if Melissa Howard still owns that.
There's a divorce, but I think Mrs. Will, but she may not be Howard now.
Yeah, she might not be.
I can't.
Oh, yeah, she does. Okay, hers is green too. There's two green ones. That's the problem. There's two green.
How could there be two?
And so here's Fifth Street and here, and then here's Melissa, and then this is
This is,
Bimbo.
no, this is Benbow right here.
Oh, right next to Fifth Street.
Yeah, 408 River.
Tom and I walked in on the wrong house. Cause we, can you show me?
Well, no, hold on a second. That was like Francine's house. Where am I?
That's Stuart.
Oh, yeah, Melissa's is down here by Fourth. So this is Fourth Street right here.
Oh,
So,
Fourth.
yeah,
Okay, well,
this is Fourth,
I
and so
think
here's Fifth.
Bimbo's off of Fifth.
Yeah, these are Benbow right
Okay.
here.
So this is not Fifth?
No, this is Fifth, this is Fourth. This is Howard. And this is Benbow right here.
All right. We might have been, right.
Well, no, that's not Benbow. Who's that? Oh, that's Halibut. Okay, so these two in the middle right here are Benbow.
Got one more nonsense.
That's Benbow.
Okay, now, right down in, just to the right of there is an old shack. That is where we walked
And
in.
then this one is, it's also Benbow. They own two. This
There it
this
is.
also-
Yeah, that's what Tom and I looked at, that they
So
were
both
talking
of
about.
these parcels, side by side are Benbow.
Okay, and so they're on different, they're actually three lots or something different,
They're different parcels.
yes.
Yeah,
Did you find the?
I'm looking. A lot. Oh, no, it wasn't. It's $90.
Oh, 90 bucks.
Sounds like a shed to me.
That was,
That
Yeah,
was in
I think that
21.
would be that garage conversion thing. If, I need Tom here to make sure I got my stories right.
Well, and in 2019 though, oh no, that's different. Nope. Yeah, it was $90.
All right.
so was it, then that was in 2021, correct?
Correct.
Did we?
See, that's been at least 2 years
what
ago
was
that
the-
we
did
looked
have
at
a
that.
fee schedule then?
Yeah.
For one?
No, it's different.
No, because yeah,
I think it was probably an accessory building, what it sounds like for that price. But I could be wrong.
Okay. Oh, this one's 22. I don't have the 21 fee schedule.
Yeah, it was. So it was in February of 21.
February 21. Well, probably when Tom gets back, we can do some more research on it then, because
I'll just put a note on here.
do what?
I'll just put a note on here.
You know, it's possible. No, never mind. Sorry.
You're gonna have a good answer for it.
No, I thought it through a little more and I don't.
Okay. All right, I'm just,
Well, today, if it was like a garage or something, $75 and then another $15 for square footage on a small building or something might have.
well, not $90.
What it used to be for an accessory building, for example, I'm fairly certain it was 50 for the permit and then 25 cents a square foot. Now it's 150, yeah, so they doubled it. So it used to be 50 for the permit fee and then 125 the square foot.
Okay.
Okay.
So I probably is a garage that, or conversion or something.
Building or accessory
Yeah.
building.
Again, if we can just visit with them, we'll find out.
And then, the other one was Tennell's. Did you find anything on Tennell's as far as a permit?
I did not. I looked in their file up at town hall and there was not anything in there for 21 or 22.
And didn't you say Gayla had some information? Did she send an email, Jesse?
There. It's not on her report, but I know there's interest in, they have a shared leach field. And there's interest in spacing to possibly get their own personal leach field. This goes back a lot of years ago. And I don't believe that we've had a permit come by in behalf of that. So maybe it's still in a engineer's hands to see if they meet setbacks and stuff. There's something floating around to that effect.
So I have on here a shed with a question mark, because I think maybe Tom might have thought it was a shed.
Well, there was at one point, I think, a question as to whether or not that was a shed or another little cabin that they stuck out there. And I don't know anything other than that.
Well, what Tom and I viewed is a shed. It's a shed runner without a foundation. It's right below Eddie Bulch.
Yeah.
Down the street.
I don't know what to do with it, if we want to track it anymore, or if we're,
Well, that's probably something that, I visited with them at length. They put in new driveways and culverts and stuff this summer or last summer, 23. And, very easy to visit with. And they would surely know if they got a permit for that building or not. And I'm pretty sure what they have paid for is that storage unit.
so Sarah, can you see what they paid on that?
And I think it had been in 21 or 22 possibly.
It's been 21.
Yeah, it's back up the road.
I have a permit for 146 in March of 21 from the Snells. And then that's it.
March of 21.
Is that 146?
146. That would have been under the old fee schedule.
Correct. Yeah, so it most definitely, Ed, is that shed, not OWTS.
So without having the permit in hand, we really don't know. Will we, other than talking to them, is there any other information we're gonna find out, or what do we will do?
My response on tunnel and this shed for March of 2021 is complete. I was all around that place. There's no electricity in it. And I put the markers and stuff for their old culverts. There's somewhat of a deck beside it to bring it up to the level of the floor of the shed. So maybe the shed had a deck included with it. I don't know, but it appears to me as complete.
So does the board want me to mark it as complete?
Yeah, this is getting slap happy, but in relations to the 2 year stuff, that would be my vote. But maybe we better wait till Tom gets home and let him confirm it with me. And next summer they'll be here and visit with them on it.
I don't think anything hurt.
I don't know it's urgent. Just the more stuff we can get marked off here, the cleaner our spreadsheet is.
So the last thing on the spreadsheet was off elder on the.
Yes, now, Gayla did give me, I think it was in a text to Jaron, not printed. Tom thinks that may be as simple as a receipt. Now, I don't know what she was talking about, but possibly a receipt that he has from the town or a receipt on the container. I don't know, but you know, me not doing Facebook and that other stuff, I know she sent some kind of message to me through Jera that it might be as simple as a receipt. So maybe he has a receipt from the town. Could that be possible, Sarah?
It could be possible.
So the last note that I had on it is from last month. Was from Tom. That he said he spoke with Dan and explained that he needed to apply for a permit. That's the last note I have. So let's,
Okay,
since Tom or Galen might have some more information on it,
let's table it.
just leave it for now.
Yeah.
The good
All
part
right.
is we have very few now that are beyond 2 years that we don't know what. That's good.
Correct. Roger, are you still awake?
Yeah.
I see your living room. Oh, there he is, checkered shirt and all. Would you like to make a motion for adjournment?
Yes, I would. I do.
At 9:10 or 10 minutes after 9?
Yep, yep. Had to feed the dog. Yes, let's adjourn.
All right, thank you, sir.
I'll second that.
Okay,
In Aldo second, all in favor, say yes, yes, yes. Any
yes,
no's? All right, good night, Roger.
okay.
Thank
good
you,
night.
sir, for being on Zoom.
You bet.